Hello viewers, welcome to my channel PC Geo Kimberlite. Today we are going to see a micropaleontology topic, and in this micropaleontology we are going to see today introduction, definition, size of microfossil, branches and different types of microfossils. I am Dr. Sajid Undekar, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Geology, AKI, Pune College of Arts, Science and Commerce, CAM Pune. It is affiliated to Savitribai Phule Pune University, formerly known as University of Pune. As per the new UGC syllabus, we are taking this micropaleontology topic. Yes. Now here in this topic, we will see first introduction part, then definition, then size of microfossil, branches, type of microfossils, and in the end we'll have the conclusion. First in the introduction what we have, the paleontology. Paleo means past, onto means life, and logy is science. So paleontology as per the definition, it will be simple. It is a branch of geology deal with a past life. Whatever the past life, whether it is plant or animal is there, when we are going to study the past life, then that branch will be called as paleontology. You can see the important one, there will be a spelling. Paleontology, P-A-L-E-O-N-T-O-L-O-G-Y. So paleontology, P-A-L-E-O-N. So paleontology. Or second one, we have a spelling P-A-L-E-O-N-T, paleontology. So one that will be missing, that is the A will be added over here. So paleontology or paleontology. So both are also the same spelling. So the scientific study of life of the geological past that involves the analysis of plants, animal, fossils, which include those of microfossil which are preserved in the right from the microfossil to the complex one. So here this is a branch of geology, that is a scientific study of the life of the geological past, whether it will be plant or animal. So here this will be a study of history if you make out. So paleontology, another definition is that paleontology is the study of the history of life on the earth as based on the fossil. Once you have studied the fossil, whether it is a plant or animal, and if you study them, then the whole thing will be make out that study of history of life on the earth. The fossil remains from the plants, animal, fungi, bacteria, single cell living things to a complex one. So all are being preserved as impressions or in the form of fossil, they will be there. So these, when you study that will be a branch paleontology. So here the paleontology involves, it is a science. Similarly here the art is there, and important one, imagination, because the whatever we getting the fossil maybe 100 years, 200 years, 1000, 10,000 or million years, 100 million years, 200 million, 600 million, whatever we are going to get that particular life, then we have to imagine the things which will be there. So paleogeographical condition, paleoclimatic condition, what will be its habitat is there. So we have to be a imagination. Art is there, science is there, imagination that inspire curiosity about the ancient life and how the modern world has been evolved. So that will be how the evolution has been done. So that will be done with the help of these branch, that is the paleontology. So the paleontologist will be a very important role which is going to play in the evolution part of the modern world. Paleontology is the important. Now see, this is a very important. Paleontology is important to geobiology. So there is a two words, geo and biology. So here geology as well as biology, because we are going to study the fossil and we are going to study that the in between the life which is there at that particular time and with the concern with the geology. So geobiology. So paleontology is important to geobiology, and it is an interdisciplinary bridge between these two fields. So the paleontology will be there sandwich between the what we have, the geology as well as the biology part. Even with the newer technique, now day by day we are going to get the new techniques, and with the new techniques the basics of looking at the microscopic remain constant for the centuries. There is nothing has been changed in its studies, how the fossils have been studied. So in fact, some dismiss the paleontology as a dead science, because simple observation that the backbones of paleontology are not only seen as a creditable as a test you do in a laboratory or a model made in a advanced machine learning. So whatever the study done by the paleontologist is there, that has been not been done in the lab testing, or whether the whatever the model you are going to prepare with the machine learning. So that is a huge study which has been done by the paleontology. The paleontology branch now has been divided broadly into two categories, that is a mega and a micro. Mega paleontology as well as micro paleontology. In that we have again the paleozoology, paleobotany. So this is based on the how you are going to evolve, what are the important things are there, that will be based on that the branch has been divided. So micropaleontology is a special branch of paleontology which deals with the study of remains of microorganisms, detached micro parts of the certain animals or plants preserved in the form of microfossils. It deals with the systematic study of microfossils with reference to, see now, here the whatever the paleontologist is there, he is going to study the microfossils with reference to its collection, how you are going to make out the collection, how you are going to make the separation of this microfossil from the matrix. Then he has to study the morphology, he has to identification, he has to identify that particular fossil. Then he has to give the classification, distribution, ecology, environmental condition, and stratigraphical significance, and interrelationship, and in the end the evolution. So these are the things which will be done or given by the paleontologist. So here it is deals with the systematic study of microfossils with reference to their collection, separation, morphology, identification, classification, distribution, ecology, environmental condition, stratigraphical significance, interpersonal relation, and evolution. So that will be the study. So microfossils are thus the remains of diverse microscopic, unicellular and multicellular animals and plants whose study require the use of microscope. So here it will require the microscope, because the microfossils we could not see with your own naked eyes. So here we require the electron microscope, binocular microscope. As per the whatever your use is there, on the basis of that we require the higher and higher configuration of that particular microscope is required. The study of microfossil is important and has become a special branch of the science because of these three reasons. What are these reasons? First, the size of these fossils require a special method of collection, separation, preparation, and examination. Like what we have, going to adopt the methodology for megascopic microfossils. But for this microfossils, we have to, because the size is very small, so here we have a special methods are there for collection, separation, preparation, and the examination. Second point, unlike the microfossil, they occur in great numbers, hence can be treated statistically. So here the number as compared to the megafossil, we are going to get the abundant numbers, hence we can treat them as statistically with reference to their distribution in the sediments. Third point, because of their small size and abundant occurrence, they have practical value in biostratigraphy and applied geological investigation, that is the economic geology. So here oil and natural gas, that is the demand of this particular generation, and the tiny foraminifera osteropods are the raw material for generation of a tiny drop of oil. And if you make out how this oil will be formed, it would require once the foraminifera osteopods are dead, they will be deposited by the sediments, and after the deposition 1 million years are required to convert that tiny drop into the tiny drop of oil. So environmental conditions, you can see now how 1 million years, 1 million is 10 lakh. So imagine how the geological investigation which will be required, that is a very, very huge. So oil and natural gas is a very demand one. That's why we have been slowly transferring the whatever the energy is there. Now we are going on batteries. Yes? So to minimize the use of oil and natural gas. Now next one point is the size of the microfossils. Microfossils are essentially microscopic in size because we could not see with your own eyes their morphology. So the question that remains unanswered is that which fossil exactly constitute the microfossil. For instance, foraminifera are quite small and microscopic, yet some genera and some species attain a diameter of 2 or more inches. Yes, there are few species are there from this foraminifera, their diameter is more than 2 inches or more than that is there, but rest one less than that we are going to get it out. So for practical purpose, microfossils are usually small, whose distinguishing characters are best studied by means of microscope. So that's why we are using, that's why they called as microfossil, because we are going to study these fossils under with the help of the microscope, or under the microscope we will study the morphology of this particular fossil. So that is the microfossil. Majority of the microfossils are smaller than 5 mm. See now, what is the size is there? Majority of the microfossil whose size is smaller than 5 mm. The size permits us to include foraminifera, osteopods, conodonts. Yes, these are the important ones. Foraminifera, osteopods, conodonts, and various skeletal fragments of vertebrates and invertebrates. Microfossils are also include remains or complete skeletal of entire organism, embryonic or nepionic forms of megafossil, dissociated elements, dissociated elements and skeletal fragments of microorganisms. All groups of plants and animals with a fossil record within the field of micropaleontology. Majority of the microfossils are fossils of single cell organisms. Majority of the microfossils are single cell organisms. Come to the next one point in this, the composition of microfossil. What will be the composition? These minute organisms have varied chemistry. Foraminifera, osteopods and cephalonoids are calcareous. Diatoms, radiolaria are composed of silica, while conodonts are phosphatic. So foraminifera, osteopods and calphonellids are calcareous. Diatoms, radiolaria composed of silica, while conodonts are of phosphatic in composition. Yes, next one, branches of micropaleontology. We have seen earlier one broad classification of, that is the paleontology divided into mega paleontology and micropaleontology. Now here we will see branches of micropaleontology. So depend upon the use and the importance, the micropaleontology has again divided into the various branches. The first branch, micropaleozoology. So here we are going to deal with the micro animals. Micro animals are there like foraminifera, osteopods, radiolarians, and these branches divided into vertebrates and invertebrates. So micropaleozoology deals with the study of microfossil from the animals like foraminifera, osteopods and radiolarians, and they are divided again into vertebrates and invertebrates. Whereas micropaleobotany that deals with the microfossils of plants like algae, fungi, bacteria, diatoms, coccolith, and that will be called as the nanofossils. The third branch, palynology, where the study of spores and pollens of the plants. And the last one, nanofossils, unidentifiable microfossils of plants and animals. That is a broken part of the plant and animal. We could not trace out what it is. So that is the unidentified fiber is there, that microfossils of plants and animal. That branch will be called as the nanofossils. Now palynology is a new field of micropaleontology developed in recent years, in which electron microscope are used in high magnifications, and that will again use in finding the oil and natural gas. So that's why they are now become the important branch. The fossil bearing sediments have been studied in great detail and reveal many types of extremely small microfossil, including the plants, spores, pollens, which reproductive organs of higher plants. And the study of these pollens and spores constitute a branch of micropaleontology is called as palynology. Then in the nanofossil we have calcareous fossils. These constitute a heterogeneous group of objects, unidentifiable microfossils of plants, animals, range size from 0.25 micrometer to 20 micrometer. And the most calcareous fossils are coccolith, extremely small calcareous plates, usually secreted by algae, and these are button-shaped skeletal element produced by the chromosomal flagellates, that is algae, called as coccolithospores. Most present-day coccolithospores live in oceanic water, producing large, strong coccoliths. Other skeletal remains of the conodonts, spawns, spicules, skeletal elements of the organs, nepionic or embryonic stage of the vertebrates are also included in the micropaleontological studies. Now we'll see the different types of microfossils. Yes, there are around, we are taken now here in this around 13 to 15, I think we have taken the different types of microfossils. We will see one by one what are these types of microfossils. Might be in a 1 mark or might be in a 5 marks. Describe the different types of microfossils. That question may ask in the examination. So here we prepare. Acritats, the organic world, unicellular, planktonic, hollow shell, microorganism, hollow vesicles of uncertain affinities are known as acritats, and they are spherical, ellipsoidal, discoidal, elongate in the form, and may be smooth, pitted, granular, spinose, ridge, or forams. Extremely acritats range in size of about 20 to 150 microns. Yes. Next one, Tasmanids. Tasmanids, the spheroidal or ovoidal disc-like biconvex group of unicellular fossils organism ranging in color from yellow to reddish, brown to black, and size will be 100 to 600 microns. Next one, spores. A propagative, reproductive, single or few called body or nano-flowering plants that consist of gametophytes enclosed in a waxy, non-cellular spores coat is known as spores. Spores are vesicular plants, are preserved extremely as microfossils, 200 to 400 millimicrons. Next one, pollens. Pollens is a multicellular male germinates body of true flowering plants. Its main function is to reach female gametophyte and fertilize it. Pollens are 5 to 200 microns. Number 5, seeds, seed coat, core fragments, and palinodermis. This is what we have drawn, the figure shown here, the diagram. Seed, the fertilized ovule of the plant containing germinating body or embryo enclosed in integument known as seed coat are after preserved in the sediment along with debris. The debris refer to organic polymorph size, particularly in sediments, other than polymorphs, pollen, spores, and acritage. These particles are plant-derived, more or less resistant wall, and include lenticular wood fragments, cellular structure, and fungal spores, etc. Number 6, silicoflagellates. Yes, here we have shown you this particular figure. The silicoflagellates, unicellular marina plant planktons belonging to division Chrysophyta, usually are 20 to 100 microns in diameter, with golden brown photosynthetic pigments and many pseudopodia, nucleus, and single flagellum. Number 7 is the diatoms. Occur both in freshwater lake deposits and marine diatometer. They are autotrophic unicellular algae with photosynthetic golden brown pigment. Have a bi-raveled test known as frustules, range in size from 20 to 200 microns, occur as circular, elongated, or hemispherical forms. Coccoliths. These are heterogeneous group of scale-like objects, range from 0.25 microns to 200 microns, called calcareous nanofossils, and mostly include coccoliths. These are minute plates secreted by algae and are complex button-shaped serratal element formed by Chrysomonnad. Coccolithospores are unicellular, marine with photosynthetic pigment like silicoflagellates. Dinoflagellates. You can see here the various of the dinoflagellates have been shown. 20 to 150 micron in size, cellular, usually considered as a plant, occur in two forms: planktonic motile stage and planktonic or benthic cyst stage. Tintinids or calphiolids. Tintinid's cell is either cylindrical or bell-shaped, produced into a shell with stalk for its attached other cellulophores. With calcareous form is known as calphionellids. Yes, here we have shown you calphionellids, as you can see now, very clear. Next one, radiolarians, marine protozoans belonging to phylum Sarcodina of kingdom Protista. Unicellular radiolarians have a size range of 100 to 1000 microns. Their skeleton is usually spherical but stellate, bell-shaped, lenticular form, also occur as macrofossils. Yes, these are the various shapes for the radiolarians. Like pseudopodia are also found all over the skeleton. Yes, pseudopodia is there, that we have been shown here. Pseudopodias. Radiolarian ooze are commonly seen in equatorial Pacific below 3000 to 4000 meters depth. Next one, conodonts. Most controversial phosphatic tooth-like fossil objects called conodonts usually occur in marine rock, usually translucent, umber brown, grayish to blackish in color, and range from 0.1 to 5 microns in length. Generally, they occur in common form like simple cones, bars, blades, and platforms. You can see here all these, we are showing the forms. Some of them consist of a single cusp or denticle, or other with series of denticle and fossum. Next one, spawn spicules. Small skeletal elements called spicules made up of silica or calcium carbonate, calcite or aragonite are scattered in mesoglia of porifer sponges, wide range of shape, simple, straight or bent needle to rods. You can see the various one which are shown, but more commonly they occur in tri-radiate form. Yes, tri-radiate which have been shown. These are the common one form is there. Next one, foraminifers. Unicellular less than 1 micron in diameter to about 100 microns. Here, these are the foraminifers enlarged over here. The osteopods, bivalve, crustacean, bean shape, oval or kidney shape that we have been shown, oval shape. So this is what we have about the micropaleontology, introduction, definition, size of microfossils, then the different microfossil types. So with this, we have been completed the first part of the micropaleontology. As well as if you have any queries, write down in the comment sections. Thank you. Have a nice day.